clarify, I just wanted you to clear this up. In his social media post, Secretary Hegseth didn't go into details about that strike. He just said U.S. operations in the area were lawful, and he said that the story and media reports were fabricated. So to be clear, does the administration deny that that second strike happened, or did it happen and the administration denies that Secretary Hegseth gave the order?
The latter is true, Abe, and I have a statement to read for you here. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it clear that presidentially designated narco-terrorist groups are subject to lethal targeting in accordance with the laws of war. With respect to the strikes in question on September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated. And I would just add one more point to remind the American public why these lethal strikes are taking place. Because this administration has designated these narco-terrorists as foreign terrorist organizations. The president has a right to take them out if they are threatening the United States of America and if they are bringing illegal narcotics that are killing our citizens at a record rate, which is what they are doing. And under the previous administration, there was enough fentanyl trafficked into our country to kill every American man, woman, and child many times over. And so that's why you've seen a drastic difference in this administration's policy with respect to the last, and it's one of the many reasons the American public reelected this president and support this Secretary of War in conducting these strikes. Jack.
Thank you, Caroline. Following up on Gabe's question, you said that the follow-up strike was lawful. What law is it that allows no survivors?
The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests. The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure.
So just to be clear, to clarify on Jackie and Gabe, did Admiral Bradley order that second strike because there were still survivors after the initial strike?
Again, as I read for you, Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law. He directed the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat of narco-terrorists to the United States was completely eliminated.
So was the initial order from Secretary Hegseth, everyone be killed, and did that come from President Trump?
I saw that quoted in a Washington Post story. I would reject that the Secretary of War ever said that. However, the president has made it quite clear that if narco-terrorists, again, are trafficking illegal drugs towards the United States, he has the authority to kill them. And that's what this administration is doing.
The White House is lying, but that's no surprise because they lie for a living and the American people know it. It's my understanding that Pete Hegseth, the so-called Secretary of Defense, was absolutely involved. I think he may have even recently acknowledged that because the facts are incapable of being disputed. And so the question in front of us, and I believe there will be bipartisan investigations in both the House and in the Senate in order to determine whether war crimes were committed and either U.S. law or international law or both were violated.
All units proceed to your post assignments. All units proceed to your post assignments.
That's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the beast.
Yeah, baby, it's episode 9 of Probable Cause on December 2nd, 2025. Jeff Norman and Greg Dillon with you as always. And tonight, our special guest for the second time is Kenneth Strange. As it says right there, he's the author of A Cop's Son. Well, he's got a lot of other very impressive credits as well. For example, he's a former FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force Special Agent. In his 21-year career in the federal law enforcement business, he has also served as a USAID fraud investigator and a DOJ special agent. And as I said, he is the author of A Cop's Son, but the subtitle is of special significance tonight. Maybe you can't fit it on there, but I will say it. One G-Man's Fight Against Jihad, Global Fraud, and the Cartels. So Greg and I thought you would be the perfect guest to discuss what's going on with the United States attack on the cartels in the Caribbean. Good evening to you, Ken. Good evening to you, Greg. How are you gentlemen doing?
Doing great, Jeff. Doing great, Greg. Nice to be on the show.
Thanks for joining us.
So it seems to me that going after drug smugglers is more your job than the job of the U.S. military. Before we get into this controversy with Pete Hegseth, what do you think about that? Is it legitimate to launch military attacks against suspected drug dealers in the Caribbean?
I think so. I think this should be happening. They've been deemed, as the spokeswoman said, as foreign terrorist organizations. So they have the green light to go ahead and deter these narco traffickers on the sea from doing what they're doing. And they're wreaking havoc with the United States. People in the United States. I believe there was 73,000 drug deaths in 2023 from fentanyl, and these narco traffickers are taking fentanyl, out of, for example, Venezuela, and then some of it goes to Europe, and the other stuff is transshipped in the Caribbean and then comes into the United States. So they're killing it. Really, what they're doing is they're killing Americans, and so I understand what they're doing, and this is nothing new. And if you look at the previous administrations, Jeff and Greg, you'll notice that George Bush the elder had Manuel Noriega, and he was a drug trafficker, and so they decided to take him out and install a friendly regime to the United States. But when that happened, no, there was not such a big outcry like there is today. And then the king of drone attacks and bombing is Obama. And Obama spent so much time, either he was bombing people in Libya or he was bombing, I think it was ISIS. And, I think he killed like 5,000 ISIS fighters. So, no great outcry.
But he wasn't blaming it on selling drugs, though, was he?
No, he wasn't. But, terrorism is terrorism. And like I said, this has been designated as a foreign terrorist organization. So, game on.
All right. Well, I don't know. Anybody can designate or deem the two D words. I'm not sure. It seems arbitrary to me. What do you think, Greg? Is it legitimate to consider this a military situation?
Ken, I'm going to throw you a curveball because I tend to be pro, law enforcement, pro military. Mm-hmm. But would your opinion change? Because the thing is, my understanding, and I don't have a great background in narcotics investigation. My understanding is that the most of the fentanyl is coming through China via Mexico. Would your opinion change if it was determined at some point that these drug boats were actually contained cocaine or heroin as opposed to fentanyl? Do you think that changes the landscape of this?
No, not really.
Okay.
No. I think again, wreaking havoc with the American public, killing. We're overdosing on these drugs, whether it's fentanyl or some other drug. I hear what you're saying about the precursors coming from China and that stuff, but I do believe. Look, we have the authority. The president has the authority. It's been done in the past. I mentioned George Bush, Obama several times.
Obama actually targeted a U.S. citizen at one point overseas, which was sort of unorthodox, and ironically, no one on the Democratic side had any issue with that drone attack.
Right. Yeah. Plus, Greg and Jeff, he went ahead and was aiding the anti-Assad forces in Syria without any notification, without any authorization. So, this is what presidents do. From time to time, and I'm glad that people are looking at it, can see it, and to be honest with you, yes, if there is some blowback, that's fine too. That's what this country is all about.
What was the nature of your mission when you were pursuing cartels and what you wrote about in your book? That was the Mexican cartels then, correct?
That's right. That's right. So I was based in El Paso, and that was the time of the Vicente Carrillo Fuentes organization, or VCFO. And when I got down there to El Paso in, I think it was 1998, the cartel put a bounty on every one of us, every Fed that was on the border. Now, that was just a big threat. They didn't follow through with it, but still, it was kind of scary to be involved with that.
It has a chilling effect.
Right, Greg, a real chilling effect, for sure. But my job there was really the head of an internal affairs unit, because the cartel was playing cat and mouse with our employees, with our inspectors on the border, immigration inspectors, with our border patrol agents. And they were constantly probing, constantly looking for weaknesses, constantly sending chicks, very sexy girls, out to tempt our agents and to corrupt them, basically. And it happened often. When I got down there, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. I hate to say that, but and then of course we would work with other task forces as well. And there was some pretty nasty crap going on in the southwest border.
Well, whether or not it's legitimate to treat the situation in Venezuela as a military matter, we have ourselves a scandal brewing now over a particular attack, two attacks actually, and it's the second attack that is the subject of the scandal. Apparently, what was it, September 2nd or whatever the date was, the U.S. launched an attack and hit a boat a few miles off the coast of Venezuela. And then sometime later, there was a second attack, and the allegation has been made in the Washington Post that there were two survivors from the first attack who were clinging to the edge of the boat, and it is therefore a war crime. And I don't understand at all why anybody's taking it as a fact. I mean, there's quite a few people who are, I think, more or less respectable analysts who are saying absolutely a war crime. But to be certain about it being a war crime, one would have to be certain about what happened.
Right.
And that's what I think is missing from this story. The Washington Post article relied on anonymous sources. What's your take on it?
Well, I've been hearing the same thing, and we're getting two different opinions. Jeff, the one you said that there were two survivors. I've heard the other side saying, hell no, a strike like that wouldn't leave any survivors on a boat that big. We're using huge missiles to take them out. So, the answer is I don't know exactly what happened out there. I can't see survivors on some of these hits that I've watched. That just, the boats are just not big. We're not talking about aircraft carriers or destroyers. These are maybe 40-foot speedboats. So I just don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And you know what? Even if there were survivors, so what? I mean, that's this is a deterrent. You shouldn't be out there doing this. You should know better that if you.
Well, I mean, let's make a distinction between what constitutes a war crime, if it happened, and whether or not it happened. So are you saying that if they intentionally killed survivors, it would be okay? I thought it's pretty clear that if it happened, that would be a war crime, no?
Yeah, well, look, I wouldn't, if those were my relatives out there, I wouldn't much like it. But I think I'm looking at it as the deterrent factor. If they know that we're going to hit them until they're gone, then I think they're going to think twice about enlisting for these type of operations.
I'm not going to get you to admit it was a war crime. Go ahead. What happened?
No, I just want to interject one reason that was given, I think, by the White House or the Pentagon was that the contraband had not been completely destroyed, and that was what the whole, that was part of the purpose of the strike was to destroy the drugs, and they were going to try to make the connection that it was legitimate because they had not successfully destroyed all the contraband, which I think is really a sketchy argument to try to make, but I did hear that thrown about.
Right. Well, let's be clear what the accusation when the scandal broke was that Hegseth ordered this attack on 2 survivors. And I don't see I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I don't see there's evidence of it. And I don't understand why anybody would take the word of the Washington Post, which is relying on anonymous sources. More recently, Hegseth has denied it, and there he is right there. And in fact, I've got some video. The video that we used in the opening was from yesterday, but earlier today, there was a cabinet meeting, and Hegseth and Trump were there, and here is the latest on that.
I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do, and by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call. We have his back. And the American people are safer because narco-terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water and eventually on land if necessary to the American people. We will eliminate that threat, and we're proud to do it.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike? You personally?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all.
And Mr. Secretary, on the second strike, you said it happened more than an hour after the first. Did I hear it correctly?
I couldn't tell you the exact amount of time.
So I don't know what happened, but it doesn't seem implausible to me that when a ship is on fire and there's smoke and so forth, that he didn't see any survivors, he being Hegseth. And it also doesn't sound implausible to me that he didn't stay there. I mean, why would he? I mean, maybe he would, but why would we assume that he would? It's not exactly far-fetched that he would leave.
Yeah, well, I mean, they certainly have every right to eliminate the threat. And you know, Greg mentioned in this case the contraband. I might see things a little bit differently, but yeah, they had every right to do that. I don't think I'll take his word and say that yes, he's the Secretary of War. I don't think he's going to micromanage everything and look for bodies clinging to to the side of a vessel. I don't think he has time for that. So I'll have to take him at his word. And again, we don't have it confirmed that the people survived this attack.
Right. Well, you call him the Secretary of War. Hakeem Jeffries called him the so-called Secretary of Defense. I think he had it backwards. He's officially the Secretary of Defense. Maybe we could say he's the so-called Secretary of War, but officially, right? That was something that Trump wanted, but it hasn't been. I think it has to be approved by Congress, right?
Yeah, you might be right there.
Yeah. Well, once every couple of weeks, I get something right. I get the feeling, you would admit anything as a war crime.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. But they have to do what they have to do, and I understand. We're losing citizens and overdoses, and Venezuela. All these countries just keep pushing their boats in our direction and in the direction of Africa, to transit into Europe. So the Europeans should thank us as well.
But I don't think that even the Trump administration would claim that it's lawful to intentionally kill the 2 survivors if there were. I think their claim is they don't know about anything like that happening.
Right. Yes, I think that's what they're thinking. Right.
But Jeff, I find it sort of puzzling, like, no one is troubled with the idea of trying to blow this boat, completely out of the water, and then it's like, but if the person didn't die then we got to try to, somehow bring him back. It's like, well, you were just trying to kill him a couple of minutes ago. What has really changed here?
Well, are you questioning whether or not it's really a war crime, or are you questioning whether or not the war crime makes sense?
Yeah, I guess the latter. Yeah, I mean, I just find it like, what is the time frame where it changed from let's kill everybody on this boat to it looks like somebody may have survived. Let's try to undo this or something. It's like, well, I don't know what's changed.
It comes down to the definition of a combatant.
Yeah.
If they're a combatant, it's legitimate, but when they cease being a combatant, then it's not legitimate.
Well,
one of the problems of calling this
involved in right now.
Well, that's one of the problems of considering this a military attack. You see, if it were actual war, then they would lower their colors. There are ways to indicate surrendering and so forth. But if they're not really in a military situation, there is no known way for them to indicate. Unless you want to consider clinging to the edge of a boat.
Well, the other thing that I wrestle with on this, and I'm not saying I'm losing sleep over it, but in the examples that Ken cites, those were I guess enemy combatants or designated terrorists, and the mission was basically take them out. Where this is a slight deviation because now we're really not targeting people because we don't really know, I don't think, specifically who is on the boat and what their role is other than they are involved somehow. But the contraband is apparently the target in these operations and not the personnel. Meaning that if the boat was empty, nobody would say, take out this boat, because I think they're going to use it at some point to transport drugs. Correct or no?
So you're calling the people collateral damage in all cases?
Well, they're tangential damage, I think, in the scenario, because if the contraband was not on the boat, I don't think they would say, take that boat out.
I've got a question. So where are the strikes taking place? Certainly they're not taking place inside Venezuela. But
no, international waters, I think, Ken.
Right. So I think that makes a little bit of a difference as well. If the Trump administration is bombing Caracas or striking the harbors and hit and run type stuff, but this is totally different. This is on, like you said, it's on the international seas. So I think we have a little bit of a leg to stand on from that.
All right. Well, we have a phone call. If you don't mind, let's take that. Hey there, caller. You're on the air. Is that what you're saying? You're on the internet.
Wow, this is amazing. I've never called into a live talk show before.
Well, there's a first. I recognize this voice. This is my good friend and co-host from the Whiners, Ryan Milton. How you doing, Ryan?
Very good, very good. So I have, I hope, some questions and a criticism for the guest, but also for, yes, Greg too, since he is former FBI policeman. Question, and I've looked at a lot of this, and I want to say I agree with Jeff that we don't know. There's a lot we don't know. I agree with Pete Hegseth. You couldn't see what happened on the boat after the first strike. And we also don't know if the Washington Post is a reliable source. It's very hard to tell anymore when an anonymous source is good or not good. But my question is, as this came up in one of the articles, what is officially an armed conflict? Because I think that some of the comments that are being made out there assume armed conflict. Is armed conflict an official state of war? What is it?
Who used the term?
First question. Can we get a definition for that?
I haven't heard
We're
that.
getting the term, Ryan. Why are you asking the question? You must have heard it somewhere or read it somewhere.
Well, I am asking that because when you read some of the articles, whether it's the New York Times, the Washington Post, NewsHour, what the law says about the killing of the survivors of a boat strike. Part of the question is, assuming that that happened, does the need to go back and attack, or the attack itself, even rise to the level of imminent threat? That when you have an imminent threat, then an attack might actually be warranted. But if there's no imminent threat, then it's considered excessive force.
Yeah, but you're conflating, I think, police protocol with military.
National security as well.
Yeah, the military operates.
Not necessarily.
Well,
I mean, where do you get this idea of imminence? Imminence is something that we, that's used in civilian law, like these gentlemen are saying. I've never heard it saying, well, we can't launch a military unless there's an imminent threat. Where did you get that from?
No, I think we've heard about the Carolina affair, where a U.S. ship in the 1800s was involved in taking weapons to Canada for, people who were, against the crown. The British government in Canada recognized that the American colonists represented an imminent threat.
No, but Ryan, get straight where our disagreement is. It's not that there's never been an imminent threat. It's that it doesn't have to be an imminent threat.
Not in military warfare.
Okay, so that's the point. The administration justified the attack as a necessary escalation to stem the flow of drugs. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
And that the United States is engaged in armed conflict with drug cartels similar to war against Al-Qaeda following the September 11th attacks. That's where
So
the question.
as Ken was saying before,
Yeah.
deeming, designating, determining, any word that begins with a D apparently will work, that it's a threat, but there is no talk of it has to be imminent.
I mean, I guess they judged this particular vessel was judged as a threat to our country, to national security, and to the health of the United States public. Like I said, people are dying from overdoses of these drugs coming from on these boats, coming out of Venezuela, coming out of Colombia.
So I do disagree with you on that.
Okay.
And that's, I don't think that these boats, again, it's been identified that it would take these boats 20 refueling stops to reach the United States. Hardly an efficient way to run a multi-billion-dollar drug running effort, and nobody noticed it until now.
Well, this has
Just
been going on.
Deem it a threat.
Yeah, this has been going on for a long time.
What's been going on is things like drugs coming in through, mules, in vehicles, on land predominantly, far more efficient.
Okay.
You disagree?
When we eradicate the drugs at the source or upon entry to the United States, I don't really think it has to stay our hand as far as taking action. I mean, it may pass through several different points before it gets to us. That doesn't mean we have to wait for it to cross our border. We could intercept it and intervene at any stage in that process, I think, and be legally allowed to do so.
And Venezuela is a narco.
I think there's validity to that. Now that makes me think of the case of mid-1990s. The head of the New York Stock Exchange, Richard Grasso, traveled to Colombia to meet with the head of the FARC drug cartel, and it was a famous newspaper image of the Grasso Abrazo. So wouldn't it be the case, because we know of the massive profits involved in drugs, that then the most immediate, the most efficient way to address it is simply at the front door of large banks that launder that drug money.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things you can do to stem the tide of drugs. Yeah, I mean, banking, whatever the weapons or the tools you need to use to stop it. I totally agree with that. But you know, each administration is different.
Yeah,
Let him finish, Ryan.
Say again?
Let the man finish, Ryan.
I mean, each administration, as I laid out before, they decide to do things like this differently. So Trump has his own way, Obama, you saw, and Bush the elder. But what I'm saying is this is nothing new. I mean, the press is acting like this is totally new. What is going on here? Well, you know, why is the military involved? Well, you know, it's been going on for many years.
Don't confuse me. I'm not against military interdiction of drug lords, but I'm trying to also look and see if in my view, potentially the president could be misadvised, you know, on the actions he's taking, something like that. So, all right. And the other question, the other thing that came up was that if this was somehow, you know, considered like a military action or something like that, there is the thing at sea of giving no quarter, that the idea of when you take no prisoners, that idea, that is forbidden even in all forms of international and U.S. military law. So since we don't know if those guys were actually even alive at that point, that remains to be seen if that happened, because that would be a violation of law.
Well, we talked about that.
Yeah, something we're gonna have to wait and see what happened.
Oh, no quarter.
Right.
Well, last comment to our guest.
Yeah, and don't harangue him too much, Ryan. Ryan, don't harangue him too much, because I was talking to Ken earlier. He's a wine he's a wine lover, and he said if we ask him nicely, he'll come on the show. So don't harangue him too much.
Yeah, so let's move on.
All right. How about, let me throw a softball. Are you for Joe Biden?
I've been sadly.
I hope not.
Sadly, I've been disappointed with the Biden administration, and talk about a security threat, because the Biden administration, Biden-Harris, had let through 10, 12, 20 million people, gotaways, and some of these people are terrorists, and some of them are just very, very bad people, and they've killed American citizens. So.
Sure, and it gets murky, and it is a question. My whole thinking is this question of deep state, and again, this is where I was really coming from originally, that I think that the president intends to do something good, but what happens is you have a mishmash of advisors. Some are good, some are not good. Marco Rubio, for example, somebody that hates the president, I would say is somebody that would misadvise him. For example, going back, you mentioned Manuel Noriega.
Yeah.
I mean, the irony there is that the Bush administration was covering for the whole Iran-Contra drugs for guns run by Oliver North and the Bush administration back then, which came out in the trial of Manuel Noriega. So it's dicey when you start saying, let's set up the overthrow of another country. This can also come back to bite you.
No doubt about it. I agree with you, but you know, that's just the way international politics goes sometimes. And you know, Noriega was not a good guy. You know, the bottom line, not a good guy, and he was a narco trafficker himself.
All right, Ryan.
I'm not saying he wasn't. Yeah. So, all right. Great.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Thanks for the call, and we'll see you Thursday night on the Winers. Okay. Boy, he was argumentative. He must not be drinking the right kind of wine tonight.
Yeah, I look forward to drinking some wine with him. So.
Not against him.
Yeah, not against him. I want to be his friend.
Right. So let's move on to another topic. The National Guard shooting, the shooting of two National Guards, the killing of one, and the other, I guess, is in critical condition. Greg and I were talking that you may have a take on this because of the question of whether or not Afghan nationals were vetted properly. What is the way they should be vetted, and how has it been going as it relates to this situation?
Right. A great question, but we're going to have to go back to the status of Afghanistan, and you guys both know it's a third world country, and they don't have, in the third world country, they don't have central databases. This is basically a country operating in the Stone Age. They don't have computer networks. Everything is written on pieces of paper, and from what I've heard, stuffed in desks or in cabinets. So, look.
So you're saying it's not even possible, really?
It's not even possible. That's the long way around. But yes, you're absolutely right, and that's what I was getting to. And look, this place is it's been called the graveyard of empires. The Russians tried to take it, the British tried to take it, we tried to take it, and look where we are now. It's the same old, same old. This country is so corrupt. It ranks 165 out of 180 on the Transparency Corruption Perception Index. 165 out of 180. That's abysmal, and that tells you.
What is that a real thing? I've never even heard of that.
Yeah. No, I did a lot of work in the compliance area, and this is a big statistic.
The Transparency Index.
Right, for the Corruption Prediction or Preference Index, it's 165 out of 180, and that is awful. So, we know that a lot of these people were never vetted. Apparently, all these people that you saw on the planes, that rushed on the planes, and there were thousands of them, were never vetted. And in fact, and I've heard from some friends of mine that know a little more about this than I do, apparently that some of these flights made it to Dulles, they were picked up in buses, and then they were taken into D.C. and dropped off, in the streets, and said, you're here, make your way. So it just totally all the way around awful. Was there vetting for Afghanis? Yes, I believe there was some of it with the translators and with the forces that were working with the CIA and with the U.S. Army. I believe those people were vetted. But again, we're talking about what kind of vetting. And, and here's another thing that I learned, is that apparently some of these people who were deemed okay, that they had a good background check, satisfactory, turned up on the terrorist watch list later. So I don't know. I don't give any credence to this vetting at all.
Plus, I think there's also the factor of the PTSD that I think came into play in addition to everything else, correct?
Greg, you're absolutely right. It seems like many of these cases are there's a mental health component attached. Whether it's a lone wolf radical on New Orleans on that New Year's thing. There's a former soldier, by the way, who became ISIS radicalized, mental health problems, a lot of stressors in his life. And the same thing with this kid. We're learning that he had problems too. Five children, trying to take care of 5 children, that he ultimately, and his friends were saying he's not well, he's not doing well, he's watching video games 24/7. I think if they should have been vetted, they should have been vetted by psychologists as well. That would have been a good thing.
Jeff, it reminded me when I was following the story, and Ken, you can relate to this. I guess we as the government felt an obligation to provide shelter to anyone that was working with us in some capacity. And not having a military background, but the law enforcement background, it seemed to be the equivalent of having a witness in witness protection. One of these mobsters or gangsters that, like say, Sammy the Bull Gravano, right? Admitted to murdering rivals. Yet, what do? We protect him. We put him up in hotels with security. He testifies. We relocate him. We get him a house. We set him up with an identity. Do we love this person? Absolutely not. We recognize that they're not good people, but the obligation is, okay, they helped us. We have to honor our obligation in helping them. And so I think the analogy here is that it has a similar feel to it. We feel some obligation to relocating them and supporting them, even though normally we would say, geez, this guy is kind of a bad guy, and I don't think I'd like to live next door to him.
When you say we, you mean, law enforcement professionals, or do you mean society?
Well, I'm saying the government. The government
okay.
is taking him on as a act of kindness, where normally we would say, and this person is the kind of person we want living in our country.
Right. The reason I asked is it was just a couple of days ago. There's a coincidence that you had mentioned Sammy the Bull. Have you ever heard of the podcast Soft White Underbelly?
Yes.
You've heard of it? Have you heard of it, Greg?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, I had not heard of it until recently. And I checked it out. It turns out he's got like 6 million subscribers.
Yeah,
and
it's big. It's a big podcast.
Yeah. And Sammy the Bull has been his guest twice. And all the people who are, fans and subscribers to the show commenting, oh, I love his stories. He's such a great storyteller. Love him. I'm like, I know there's a little, you can still sort of disapprove of what he did, but the way they were raving about what a wonderful storyteller he was, it's almost like they forgot.
Well, there's always been a romance or a love for these characters that are really villainous, reprobates, but somehow, we become fans of them because I don't know, something in our culture just seems to admire or at least have a fascination. Serial killers and gangsters.
Yeah, you said it right, Greg. It's this fascination for something so unreal, and Sammy is a very charming guy, and he's been on the circuit for years talking about the mob and what he did, and I've heard other gangsters and mobsters that say take Gravano with a grain of salt. He tends to embellish things as well. So who knows? But I'm sure he did murder a few people along the way.
And they are good stories, don't get me wrong. But the way they were talking about it seems like you're kind of loving the skeleton. Hey, we have another phone call. Let's see how this one goes. Hey, you're on with Ken, Greg, and Jeff. Who are you, and where are you?
Hello, Jeff. How are you doing?
Oh, is that Somerville John?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
I'm okay. How are you?
Good evening to your guests. Good, thank you.
Hi, how are you?
I have a quick question. Good evening. I have a quick question. This Afghan fellow and the other Afghan fellows that have been brought into the country, do they still have contact with other Afghanis in Afghanistan? And can they be given commands from Afghanistan which would instruct them or possibly blackmail them to commit a crime, or else family members in Afghanistan will pay the price if they don't do it? That is my question.
Well, John, before you go, I'll let you guys answer it, but I want to just get a little clarification on the question, because, of course, it's possible, but is your real question, is there reason to suspect it's likely? Is that your actual question, John, or am I assuming incorrectly?
Yeah, I mean, any of these guys, we know how these gangster organizations operate. They work on intimidation and threat. So if you have 1,000 of these people running around that can possibly be blackmailed or threatened by family members that are back in the home country, and they're not doing anything here but playing video games or twiddling their thumbs, what is to stop them from just saying, yeah, I'll go whack somebody, I really don't know the it sounds crazy to let them all in the first place.
All right. Well, what do the G-men have to say about that?
Go ahead, Ken.
Well, look, I think it's possible. Something like that is possible, but I doubt. I haven't heard many stories like this come out, so I'm going to. I would say it's doubtful, but it could happen. Greg?
It sounds like it was a combination of him being radicalized once he settled in here, coupled with his PTSD. I haven't heard anything other than that, so I would have to say that's probably the motivation. But I guess to agree with you, Ken, yeah, anything is possible, but it doesn't seem likely in this instance.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. And this guy, when he did kill the female and shoot the other guardsman, he was I think he was crying out Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So that's a clue. This is someone that has turned to jihad.
Yeah.
It's called this, and that's the point where they're going to paradise. I think it's called istishada in Arabic. But yeah, they're going to paradise, and that's what he was doing. He thought he was he felt he was not going to return. He was on his way to heaven.
I always thought that Somerville, South Carolina was paradise.
It is, especially since our Senator Jeff supports the ship attacks in the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, is that right? Who is your senator? Lindsey Graham?
Lindsey.
All right. The perfume princess, as Scott calls him. Thanks a lot for the call, John. Love you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
You as
Thank
well.
you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Thank you.
He's one of our regular viewers, Somerville John.
Nice guy.
All right.
Hates Afghans, though, apparently.
Well, the first time I met Afghans were, I'd be in D.C. Whenever I went for a conference, Greg, you could appreciate this, any type of federal conference in D.C., eventually you'd run into these Afghan taxi drivers. And they were nice guys. They were nice people. And they were there trying to make a living and making sure that they fit into the United States. And they were very humble people. And I always enjoyed talking with them.
But Ken, if I can follow up on that, oddly enough, when I was in Washington D.C., I've always heard they had like these tribal feuds, I guess, where it's gone back for generation after generation, and at the time it was National Airport, now it's Reagan Airport, but you would see that queue of cabs out in front usually, and apparently two of the gentlemen knew each other from the old country, younger guys, and I don't know what the feud was, but it was deep enough that when they saw each other, they would have these heated exchanges, and then they decided through mutual combat, they drove to Fort Belvoir, to some deserted side road, and had it out, man to man. Except one of them had this very clever knuckle knife, and while they were on the ground, he kept punching the other guy, and the other guy thought he was just being punched and realized there was a blade involved, and he ended up with his throat slashed. He ended up with lacerations and almost died on the scene. And that was, it was nothing other than the old country feud that continued right on into the United States.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I'm aware of the tribal patterns in Afghanistan, and I think when they went to war, this was Al Qaeda. There were some factions that were loyal to us, and others to the Taliban, and there was some real bad blood. And I think they detonated a bomb and killed one of our allies. I think he was the guy representing the North. I forget his name, but. And this was part of Osama bin Laden's policy.
Freudian slip there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of, I think you said people who almost got killed or something like that. Why don't we turn our attention now to our very popular new feature called Has It Happened to Greg? And when I say it's very popular, what I mean is I like it immensely. This is when we show some clips of police encounters, and then we turn to Greg and says anything like that resembles in any way ever happened to you. Ken, you got a few more minutes to hang out with us for that?
I certainly will. Thank you for having me.
All right, let's do it. All right, the first one is, it's brief, this one, and the police car pulled over fleeing, and some of the language that was used is a little bit unusual for the police, so I'm looking forward to hearing your take on it.
He's ramming us. Get your ass on the ground. Get the. Yo, you done fucked up, son. You done fucked up, son. Get the motherfucker. Who you fucking playing with? The gun's right there. You fucked up, bud. You fucked up. Ram our fucking cars. We ain't the normal police, pimp.
Ooh.
So they're pissed about them having their car rammed. You fucked up. You fucked up. You rammed our car. We ain't the normal police, pimp. That's what he said. I'm not being judgmental. I'm just noting what was said. It just strikes me as unusual. So have you ever had an encounter like that where somebody rammed your car? And also, what do you think about the police sort of taunting him once they got him?
Well, the ramming of the car, yes, and it does give you an adrenaline boost where you may do or say things that normally you would not. But, you know, in today's day and age, you have to be aware of the fact that everything is being recorded or is likely being recorded. And you have to get out of the habit of cursing, because it doesn't look good in front of a jury when it is played back. It's unprofessional. It's unnecessary. I understand, you know, the blood pressure and the adrenaline and it kicks in, but it's just not a good look. The optics are bad.
Well, unless it happened after the tape stopped. In this situation, they didn't beat him up or anything. So I don't think in this situation they have to worry too much about how they come across with the jury. But you're saying it as a general rule.
Yeah, it just reeks of unprofessionalism. You know, if it slips out once, you know, maybe you get a pass. But I mean, when it's over and over again, it's just not a good look.
Yeah. We ain't the normal police, pimp.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is supposed to mean, but
yeah, not cool.
We're the abnormal police, I guess.
Ken, have you ever lost your cool when you were apprehending somebody and taunted them once you had them in custody?
No, I was too busy trying to figure out how to put the cuffs on the person. So I was.
I'm talking about after that.
No, not really. I haven't had. You know, I really wasn't in many situations where I was handcuffing people. I would just talk them into surrendering.
Right. And Greg, okay, so you gave your take on the language that was used, but what about just the idea of taunting somebody after you have them in custody? Have you ever done that? Tell the truth. You're under oath. Raise your right hand.
Yes, probably more than a few times.
All right, but you didn't swear.
After a foot chase or a car chase, it's hard not to gloat if you were successful in making the arrest. It's very easy to rub it in their face.
Now, when you were caught, did they have body cams?
No.
No.
Or else they would probably still be doing time.
All right. Let's take a look at another video. And this is reminiscent of that art gallery robbery. This is another high-value robbery. In this case, it was a high-end boutique in the Soho section of New York City.
To the breaking news we have for you. We now have surveillance video of a burglary at a high-end boutique in Soho. The thieves made off with about $2 million worth of goods, and it did it in just moments. Eyewitness News reporter Sonia Rincon live in the scene with the very latest. Sonia.
Yeah, Bill, the owner of this Soho boutique called 4G Sellers says the value of those stolen items is approaching close to $2 million. And whoever went in and took those items, breaking in through that second floor window, knew what to look for. Let's take you to the surveillance video showing these thieves breaking in that window along the fire escape, grabbing some of the boutique's designer merchandise like clothes and jewelry and accessories, getting in and out in 4 minutes. 2 of the thieves went in, 2 more were outside. The break-in triggered an alarm. The NYPD was here 90 seconds after the heist. Now, the NYPD crime scene unit has been here all day processing this crime scene, littered with broken glass, both down here on Spring Street and inside the shop upstairs on that second floor. This boutique is appointment-only shopping. It has celebrity clients and a very curated selection of designer items, some worth tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars a piece. We spoke with a partner in this business who is a cousin of the owner, who described what they were able to figure out from that surveillance video.
There was 2 guys in here masked up in construction crew outfits, headlamps. They broke through the window. They came in. They had a spotter outside. They had a getaway driver. Kind of like the Louvre incident, to be honest. They took a lot of one high-end merchandise. They basically were just packing things up. They had garbage bags on them, and they were just dropping them off the balcony, and someone was running into the car.
So he's just like the Louvre incident, and then he giggled. He doesn't seem, for a guy who's just lost $2 million worth of merchandise, he doesn't seem too upset. And here's my thought. If they took $2 million worth of merchandise in just a few short minutes, I wonder what the rest of the inventory adds up to. It must be many millions of dollars. And the only thing keeping robbers out is a piece of glass.
Well, it's interesting that he said the customers are appointment only. I'm guessing here, but I'm curious as to what your take. I have to think that's an inside job, that no one would try to take on a job like that only looking at it from the outside. They had to have eyes on the inside at some point to feel confident enough that the merchandise was valuable enough to risk it. And number 2, that they could actually make entry into a second floor. How did they get to the second floor is what I'm not
From
sure.
the fire escape. From the fire escape.
Yeah, fire escape.
So there's a fire escape. They just go climb up it. It's open to anybody, a fire escape, because that's how fire escapes are. And there's just a window with no bars over it.
Right. That's crazy. Just crazy. I think it's an inside job. I think you're right, Greg. Inside.
How can they get any insurance? If you were an insurance company, would you sell insurance to a company that had millions of dollars worth of merchandise, but no bars over the window?
They wouldn't get a policy from my company. No.
No way. No way.
Yeah.
No, that kind of inventory, Jeff.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing to me.
Yeah. The thing is, they should be able to identify the car. I mean, they have enough cameras on those streets. So I think, once you find the car, now it's fingerprints, DNA, where was the car stolen, all those things to try to backtrack it to the thieves.
Was that on camera? I didn't even notice. They saw what kind of car it was?
Well, the owner said they had a car out
getaway car.
So he obviously had to see something. But I'm thinking, how many cameras must be in New York City at this point? I mean, thousands and thousands.
And they had an alarm. They said the cops arrived 90 seconds after. Yeah, that's pretty quick.
But how many minutes were they in the building? The robbers. I think it was 4 minutes. Did they do it in 4 minutes?
I'm not sure if they said that. I think they said that 90 seconds after they left, but they didn't really. It seemed like it was a very short amount of time.
I thought they said within 2 minutes they had taken all this stuff. But I'm thinking, well, that's 120 seconds.
So this little timeline, we got to redo the timeline.
The math ain't mathin'.
No.
And that guy doesn't seem very upset, does he?
No. I'm wondering how much merchandise was actually stolen that he's claiming for the insurance.
Right.
If he has insurance, I don't know. That's what I would like to find out.
Well, if he doesn't have insurance and he's laughing through
like I said, if they got millions of dollars worth of merchandise and there's no bars over the window, why would any insurance company give him a policy?
Yeah, it's ludicrous. Just ludicrous, crazy.
Yeah, there's something not right there. That's a weird story.
That is. Well, I'll be following that and then just trying to get more info for an upcoming episode.
And that was
all right, here's
one?
yes, the Soho section of New York.
Okay, yep, right. Okay.
Yeah. All right, here's another one. This one is probably too long to play the whole thing, but we can talk over it. Let me know when you've seen enough. Hang on a second. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Hang on. Everybody remain calm. All right, here it is.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I stopped you for speeding.
Before you begin this interaction, please be advised that I'm recording. I do not consent to this contact with you. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court of law. Any statement or alleged consent I give in response to your questioning is hereby under protest or under duress. I invoke and refuse to waive my Fifth Amendment right, and I will not be answering any questions today. Why am I being detained?
Driver's license and proof of insurance, please.
Why am I being detained?
I stopped you for speeding.
Okay.
You're doing 59 and a 35 as you were going past the golf course. Let's see your driver's license and proof of insurance, please.
What's your name and badge number?
Can I see your driver's license and proof of insurance?
I'll be with you shortly.
Oh boy!
See, here's the deal. You're not in control of this, sir.
Wow, who's
Did you pull
taking
me over, or did I pull you over?
Who's taking control
You're
here?
not in control.
Yeah,
All right.
control.
Well, I don't want to play the whole thing, but I want to play enough so you get the sense of how much this cop put up with. So
This interaction.
Did I pull you over?
Can I see your driver's license and proof of insurance?
Okay, could you just chill for a second? I'm trying to do my job.
What?
No, that's where you're wrong.
Is your body cam on, sir?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, okay.
I'm trying to do my job, sir.
Madka? What police department are you with? Elgin?
Elgin Police Department, sir. That's the city you're driving in. The city where you were stopped.
Oh, what's your patrol car? Your patrol car?
It's right there.
What number?
It's not real.
So would you have already pulled this guy out of the car by now, Greg?
I would like to think I would have asked
what's your patrol car?
To step out of the car at this point.
Your patrol car?
Yeah, I mean, this guy is in complete control, or it seems like he's in complete control. We don't want that.
Not relevant? Okay.
It's not relevant to the traffic stop, sir. You can see it's a marked squad. The lights are on.
So I'll tell you, this goes on for about 7 minutes.
Wow.
Can you articulate what ILCS I'm being suspected of? What's the ILCS number?
It'll be on your citation.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, that's tough to watch.
It is.
Where were you when you saw this?
Yeah, you want to like jump through your monitor and pull the guy out of the car right now.
Yeah. Well, I admire his professionalism and his patience. I will say that.
Yeah.
But
I don't. I think he was too
I'm
patient.
just answering questions.
Well, I
I'm
agree.
just trying to get some information.
I think he went above and beyond what he had to do. And any judge would be fine with him taking some type of action at this point.
Yeah, well, you can see the subtitles show you what he's saying. So it just goes on and on for 7 minutes.
Yeah, he must have been surprised by this guy who came well prepared for this encounter.
Yeah.
So have you ever had anybody who you pull over and they start grilling you and talking to you, and you just want the license and registration, and they're going on and on about something?
Yes. And you don't let them dictate the conversation.
Well, that's what I would assume. What was the gist of it? Were they like trying to talk their way out of the ticket, or are they just changing the subject and making small talk with you?
No, it's not. It's not that. They're questioning everything. I want to see the radar gun. Where were you parked? What other cars were going by at the same time? Anything but.
Oh, they're acting like they're already in court, like this guy is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, I mean, you can entertain it for just so long, and then it's like, I'm ordering you now to give me your license, your registration, and your proof of insurance, or we're going to take it to the next level, which will be a custodial arrest.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So one thing, I don't want to play the whole thing. I don't think people have the patience for it. But at one point, the guy accuses the cop of asking him a lot of questions that are inappropriate. And the cop never asked him anything. But that really annoys the cop, and he keeps coming back to it. The cop's going, I never ask you questions. What questions did I ask you? And then the guy goes on with his act, and then the cop keeps bringing it back. Well, why won't you answer my questions? What questions did I ask you? That's the one thing that set him off. It's crazy.
Crazy.
Wow. So tough.
That's a tough one.
Tough job.
All right. This is December 6th. Is it Saturday? This book signing that you have coming up?
Oh, yes. It's Saturday, 3 p.m. At the Tecolote Bookshop in Montecito.
Okay. And so is this a cop son? You have a second book, too, more of a travel book. Is that correct?
That's right, Jeff. I've got a travel adventure spirituality book about the Camino, the pilgrimage in Spain. It's called It's Your Camino, One Couple's 500-mile pilgrimage across Spain.
Okay, and is a book signing for both of them or just one of them?
For both of them.
All right, why not? It is Christmas. And with that in mind, let's encourage our viewers to buy both of the G-Men's books.
Yeah.
Greg has the Thin Blue Line. You can get them both at ustourofduty.org. It is Christmas. What better way to support the show? Because we get a little commission. They get a little bit too, and you get enriched. So everybody wins.
Great books, by the way. Great books.
Yeah, no, thank you, Ken. Yeah, no, you've gotten some tremendous reviews on Amazon. I apologize. I've never had a chance to read Camino yet, but yeah, you're really killing it with this latest book.
Thanks, Greg. You're too kind. I love you. By the way, I loved your book.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And Jeff, let's not overlook the fact that yesterday was a big day. You turned 30.
Huh?
Oh, you see,
what? What's this?
Yesterday was my birthday. I confess. Right. Happy birthday to me. Thanks for remembering.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Also want to mention a couple of upcoming shows. The reason I became aware of Soft White Underbelly is because our guest Thursday night was a guest on that show. She told me about it, so I checked it out. It's Vanda Mikulášky. She's a comedian and an author. She just wrote a memoir, and she's our guest Thursday night on The Whiners at 7 p.m. And tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Scott Ritter and I will be doing our Ask the Inspector thing, so check it out. All three of our shows start at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, or for Ken's benefit, 4 p.m. Pacific Time.
All right.
Do you want to say what part of California you're in, or would that be like doxing you?
No, I'll say this. I'm just outside Los Angeles and fairly close to Malibu, where I can jump on a surfboard and fall off of it.
All right, that's vague enough. All right, well, thanks for joining us. And if I don't talk to you before the holidays, happy holidays.
Thank you. And happy holidays.
Thank you so much. And Greg, thank you. See you next week at the usual time.
Sounds good. Good seeing you, Ken.
Same here, Greg. Bye, Jeff.
Take
All
care.
right, and thanks to our beloved audience. Thanks to the immensely annoying Ryan Milton for his call, and also to Somerville John. Always good to have some interaction with the audience. Take care, everybody.
All right.